How are we doing this Friday evening, ladies and gents? There's some stuff for us to talk about, right? Isn't it weird in April of 24 that the F1 news cycle is giving more than the actual racing, right? As far as variety and storyline and plots. Because on this stream, we've got to talk about Newey, what's going on, any cheeky updates, the backstory, of course, why he might be leaving, what's his missus got to do with all this. We'll talk very quickly about Hulkenberg. In fact, we'll get that out of the way first and foremost. Hulkenberg has signed to go back to Audi, right? Currently Sauber in 2025. I don't know why that's news. And this is the problem with the news cycle, right? The problem with F1 as at April of 2024. Who cares about this Hulkenberg stuff? Really? NC Paddock, far too kind, sir. What if it could be retirement? Something I wouldn't blame him for. He's 65 years old after all. NC Paddock. GOAT. F1 channel on YouTube's. Either way, if you're a Red Bull or Max Verstappen fan like me, it's probably the least welcoming thing that you want to hear. NC Paddock, we got to discuss this, bro. Honestly, it's techie. Let me give Hulkenberg his props firstly, though. Lou, Patrick, living on edge. What are you guys saying? Let me give Hulkenberg his props, his fair due, because it would be remiss of me, unfair of me to just gloss over this fella like he was never ever going to be the next one. Because I remember there was a time when I would bring up Nico Hulkenberg's racing career on Wikipedia, and then I would bring up Lewis Hamilton's racing career, obviously prior to their being in F1, and I'd compare and contrast, and they were very similar. Success jockeys, both of them. Barely lost a series ever prior to F1. So I remember seeing Hulkenberg coming up and thinking, wait, hold on. Wikipedia's telling me that this dude potentially is just like Lewis Hamilton. So it's sad for me then that a dude of Nico Hulkenberg's capacity, with the upper ceiling potentially of Nico Hulkenberg, it's sad that he's yet to even get a podium, right? But sometimes F1 can't work out for anyone. It's more than a meritocracy, right? You need luck, good fortune, fortuitous circumstances, financial backing, the right car, the right circumstance, the right teammate, the right set of engineers and team principal even. So in that sense, I feel like Hulkenberg has had none of the aforementioned. But yet and still, I mean, if he's going to go to Audi alongside one Carlos Sainz Jr. potentially, as at 2025, then we're going to see what he's made out of genuinely. Because Carlos Sainz is nothing to be played with. Not this new 2.0 version of the Spaniard. Go on then, let's talk about Adrian Newey. Because there's something else I want to get to, a little bonus piece. Adrian Newey, yeah, why is he leaving? I keep going back in the historic Twitter archives, and there's a really, really good tweet. Like, go and follow Amanda Newey, obviously Adrian's spouse, and she gets techie on Twitter. Because look, here's what it is, right? There are two factions. There are people both within and outside of the current F1 paddock that think that Adrian Newey is the MVP. If you're going to sign one person, whether that's Lewis Hamilton, whether that's an engineer, Vache, Dan Fallows, Max Verstappen, if you were going to sign one person, if a genie allowed you to rub his lamp and you had one wish, then that meant signing one person on the F1 paddock currently with a view to take your team to the next level, then that person should be Adrian Newey. There are a lot of people who say that my guy Peter Windsor, infinitely more knowledgeable than I, the goatiest F1 mind in the game, says Adrian Newey is that guy who you sign. Martin Brundle has said similar, that as much as Max Verstappen has been a god-tier driver over the past couple of years, he has to thank and be grateful for the car that's been provided to him by Adrian Newey. That Adrian Newey should have at least one hand on those Max Verstappen drivers' trophies. That's what they say, right? But then you have on the other side of the fence, there is a camp that thinks that Adrian Newey in 2024 is more of a part-time aero buffing. That as far as the RB20 and the RB19, that he didn't really have much to do with that. His involvement over the past 3 years has been with the RB18 insiders say, and the rear suspension of that, as far as the aero and the bits and bobs, the front suspension, the gear, but the positioning in the car. People close to the circumstance say that Adrian Newey hasn't had that much to do with it, that he's been focused more on the Red Bull supercar. That's chaos. And I think, guys and girls, that matters. That really matters. You heard me say it yesterday, but I will say it again for the avoidance of doubt. I feel, looking from a distance, that Adrian Newey is a sensitive soul. You need to leave him alone, leave him to get on with designing cars right, but give him free rein. He's going to dip in and dip out, and this is what Christian Horner was alluded to in comments that he's made as recently as this week. Christian saying that he's built a team of technical boffins at Red Bull that can survive and work and thrive independent of the greatest aero mind that I've ever seen. And that's some statement to make, right? Pierre Rocher alluded to this very recently, saying, listen, you can't replace Adrian Newey. He's unreplaceable, irreplaceable. But the team has talent and it is growing and it is thriving. They're learning from Adrian Newey, said Pierre Rocher. And going forward, they can function without one Adrian Newey. They can thrive even. This is what Pierre Rocher says. And again, he's a colleague, currently a Red Bull colleague, not for much longer, of Adrian Newey. And that's techie that he was quoted as saying that underneath that tweet by RBR Daily, one Amanda Newey, the wife of Adrian Newey, responded to that. You know what she said? Bollocks. Tells you all you need to know, eh? Do not think for a second that Amanda Newey, spouse of Adrian Newey, is operating in a vacuum. If that's what she thinks, then you're telling me that vicariously she's not expressing the opinions of Adrian, her husband. You don't think they talk about this in their private life as husband and wife? Behave yourself. And this has been growing each and every single time you put a mic in front of Christian Horner's face or Max Verstappen's face and you ask them about one Adrian Newey. You get all this chat about the team, and there's loads of good engineers that currently work with Red Bull. Adrian's brilliant, by the way, but there are still lots of young hot prospects that are able to work independently of Adrian, and Adrian will be listening to those things each and every single time. He will be hearing those, Macon. Absolutely, he will be hearing those tidbits. And again, I've said, for the avoidance of doubt, when you read the book How to Build a Racing Car, you see and understand, you get a vista into the mind of one of the greatest aero boffins that F1's ever seen. And I've said it a gazillion times before, and I reiterate for the avoidance of doubt, Adrian Newey is sensitive soul, needs a hug, needs a bit of praise. And what you definitely don't want to do if you intend on keeping him at your racing team, you don't want to deprive him of the credit that he feels he's merited, that he warrants. Don't do that. Otherwise, you will have a circumstance like what you do now, that he's leaving Red Bull. Throw into the mix Christian Horner allegations, lest we forget, if the rumour mill is to be believed and speculation is a thing, sometimes there's no smoke without fire. People are now saying, allegedly, that Adrian Newey shared a PA with Christian Horner, that the person leveraging these allegations at Christian Horner was associated with Adrian Newey also. They had a working relationship too, and that changes everything now. There is the context. Therein lies the context out of which Adrian Newey is potentially going to leave Red Bull. And that, for me, chat, is absolutely chaos Macon. We're going to see in 2 years if Christian Horner is correct. I don't see it. Downplaying Adrian Newey's role is childish. Where have we seen that plot line recently before, Macon? Mention no names, Toto Wolff and Lewis Hamilton. Nico can only hope Newey will go and sail the world. Well, Noir just sent me a flipping picture of him next to a boat. He's got other interests, hasn't he, Adrian? And at 65, could you write it off? Is it beyond the realms of possibility that he chooses to just sack it off and go away? Absolutely not. You might want to go and travel the world, but BBC, AMUS, the big bods, the reputable publications around F1, they're not saying this. They're saying that why would this be such a big hoopla? They're talking to people connected with Adrian and the circumstance, and they're saying that his retirement's not in the offing just yet. Adrian Newey loves F1 and he loves the challenge, and I think he would love to leave Red Bull. Here's the challenge set out for him by Pierre Vacher et al. All of those bods, the aero and technical guys at Red Bull, they've set him out a challenge, haven't they? Why don't you go and do it elsewhere? If you're that good, if you're that important, then you'll be able to join another team and you'll be able to rinse and repeat. Build another car. Say, okay, you made Hove, go and make another Hove. The words of Jay-Z, eh? Go and build another car. And that'll be ringing, that challenge will be ringing in the ears of one Adrian Newey. What, you're going to challenge me? What, the great one? The grey beard Adrian Newey, the goatiest F1 aero ever. Sharison, Sky F1 Italia is teasing Newey might join Scuderia. Well, I think that's the favourite. From a betting man, that's where I'm going each and every single time, Sharison. I'll tell you the truth. He was over there not long in Bologna, eh? He was over there not long. What was he doing there? Testing. Just testing. Read his book and you will see when he nearly joined Ferrari before. That's where he was also. Bologna. Join the dots up, man. Join the dots up. But again, it's going to be interesting. The length and tenure. Okay, here's where it gets a bit techie with the old contract. Techie, any. I commented yesterday, I thought Craig Slater was wrong in his assertion that gardening leave would take him through to circa 2027. So his contract, I think, 2026 ends. A year of non-compete clause that will take him up to 2027. So if he did leave Red Bull, potentially, unless there was some very big money involved, some fairly chunky material figures that bought him out of the aforementioned contract, he might not be able to touch another team's car until 2027, 2028. That's bonkers. It's nearly 2 years into the new rule and reg set. I mean, he'd nearly be 70 years old. It's crazy to think, eh? That is bonkers. But you know what? I think he's got this challenge. If I know Adrian Newey, having just read his book, I think he's set himself a challenge. I think he's saying to the likes of Pierre Vacher, Christian Horner, Jos Verstappen, Max even to a certain extent, okay, yeah, I'll see that challenge and I will raise you. Going to go across to a Ferrari and build a car, and then we'll see who the real GOAT is. We'll see who it is, because in my mind, I think those Red Bull guys are very talented, and girls, of course. I think they are very talented, but there's a difference between being very talented and being Adrian Newey. 10,000 hours, sports car, ground effect in at university, Leighton House, March 881, all them things. This is who we're talking about when we're talking about Adrian Newey. It's a different level of knowledge and the ability to leverage aerodynamic efficiency that he has in his back pocket. Those other guys and girls can't talk to him. I don't care what anybody says. And so he's seen your challenge, Red Bull, and he will raise you. Let's see how this one plays out. Something else I want to touch on very quickly, guys, before I run away. Come on, okay, get the book. I'm telling you, get the book. It's incredible. Or listen to it even. I listen to it a lot and read bits. It's mad. Some of the things when he's talking about Ivan Capelli and Prost, the whole Senna incident and the way he ingests it and holds himself at least partially responsible for not building a car that could sustain and maintain the different ride heights. He didn't build it adaptable enough for the post-active suspension era. Mate, there's a god tier book, How to Build a Racing Car by Adrian, How to Build a Car even by Adrian Newey. It's incredible. When you see, and again, before I move on to this next point, when you see the Genesis story and understand like Leighton House, March, IndyCar before then, Williams, McLaren, Red Bull, and him interacting with all these different rule and regulation sets, you come to realise very quickly that there's nobody who's got his length and breadth of experience as far as trying to solve for these aerodynamic problems. No one in the world has that 2024 even comes close. Been doing this for 40 years and well. No one. Performance engineer, race engineer, Damon Hill, world championships. The accolades aren't for nothing. Go on then, guys. Let me tell you, there's been other news, but I don't want to bore you. You guys can get your news elsewhere. You know what's going on. Sauber, Hulkenberg, yeah, of course, whatever. Miami Grand Prix, Mercedes set to bring upgrades, new floor, etc. I believe it when I see it, Mercedes. You've been telling me that you're going to bring things that will work since Monaco last year, and they haven't worked. I'm losing faith, Mercedes. I will believe it when I see it, and I'm not even going to waste my breath talking to that nonsense. Let me talk to something else, because there's been a lot of chat about the commentary team this weekend, and I've got to look into the camera and apologise in earnest, right? Because I have been destroying Karun Chandhok, absolutely murdering that. Here's what I said: Noddy Cameron F1. And I got to eat some humble pie now, and I hope Karun would watch this and understand and accept my apology. Here's what I'm going to say about this. Before China, I didn't rate Karun Chandhok. I know that he's a god tier F1 mind. He knows a lot. He's like got this encyclopedic knowledge. Verena won in 50, 66 was Brabham, 94 was Schumacher. Like, he can just reel them off right like this. Fangio, he knows them all. Flipping Hawthorne, Hill, Phil Hillgate, like, he just gets it right. He gets it. And I rate that highly. Game has to recognise game. Like, I rate it highly. My level of F1 knowledge cannot talk to Karun Chandhok. However, in my humble opinion, the thing that I see lacking sorely in F1 is a bit of personality and vavavoom, right? Especially when Max Verstappen's going to go and win, in all likelihood, the next 20 Grand Prix. Then F1 is dependent on these side missions, right? How entertained are you by the commentary team? Are they having these debates in real time? What you'd see Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher on the football doing, or a Stephen A. Smith in America having with bloody Big Dog or whatever his name is. Like, what's entertaining me? What's the why? What's the additional reason that's going to make me watch F1 as a part-time casual, part-time diehard? Because the competition's done one of these, right? No longer in the building, because again, for the avoidance of that, in all likelihood, Max Verstappen is going to win the rest of the Grand Prix between now and the end of the season. So stakes and uncertainty. You're not watching F1 in 2024 so you can see, so you can realise the outcome in real time, because you know 99.9% of the time exactly what's going to happen. So to supersede that, F1 needs an additional reason why. And I know I'll argue with my guy Peter Windsor, and I will always defer to him because he's just better than me. If Peter were on here, Peter would say, listen, well, I'm invested in F1 as a sport, right? Like, through and through to the core. I would watch it. I would enjoy the racing and revel in a Max Verstappen. But then there are other people who are on this side of the fence as far as they're purist, right? They're diehard. Those who are not, those who have fallen foul of the drive to survivation of F1, they need the blood and guts. And I understand it. I relate. I'm almost on that side of the fence, depending on whether I've had my Weetabix that morning. I get it. And so to those people who are brand new to the sport or watch it through the lens of blood and guts and want to see automotive pugilism of the highest order each and every single time, to those people, you need to give them a why to watch. There aren't enough whys in F1. There are more why nots than whys. That's the point that I'm trying to make. Harrison, Newey and Bologna. Oh my gosh, isn't that where Senna passed? Senna passed in Imola. I think that's a different place to Bologna, to be fair. But my geographic knowledge, Harrison, do not trust it. You're far too kind. Fact check me. But Senna definitely died in Imola. I think that's a different place to Bologna. The why is really important. I digress, Harrison. The why in F1 as at April 2024 is lacking. And I would love to look at the Sky commentary box and say, okay, so I'm going to watch this because Karun's on. Chanduk's there, let me get involved. The only person, here's who I watch F1 for. These are my whys. Crofty, the same guy that went through goes Hamilton. Again, you'll never forget where you were when you heard that bit of commentary. Nico Rosberg is levels, proper comment, like colour commentary. They don't get any better than him. The reason? Well, he just doesn't care, does he? He's not overly invested in the check that Sky Sports are giving him. He'll turn up like a couple Grand Prix a season and light it aflame because he just doesn't care. He's gonna. There's no filter, and he's got God tier knowledge as well. 2016 champion. Lest we forget KK Rosberg, the son of. That's the type of fella that we're dealing in with Nico Rosberg, and I don't hate him. I wish he was on the thing more time. I really wish that he was on. I wish that he could be there every week. Max warned you to keep the team together, Christian says. NC Paddock, what's Max going to do? Depending where Newey goes, Max cannot follow. It's tricky, Ivana. What is Max going to do? I don't know. We're going to test it in real time. Max might be thinking, well, if he believes what he's been telling the world media and press, then the show must be able to continue without Adrian, right? Christian and Max have both been saying that the team underneath Newey is plenty competent to crack on without him. So let's see if Max believes what he... Do you know what I mean? Let's see if he's been getting high off his own supply, whether he believes what he's saying. Maybe he does. But again, I've spoken to people that are close to the team and they all believe that. This isn't an isolated opinion here. It's not Max and Christian just saying this. If you talk to the likes of Vache and the other dudes that Adrian's been working with, they will all tell you the same thing, that they think they'll be good. But again, there's agency in there, surely. Why would they say anything different? Well, we're going to see the proof is in the pudding. When he leaves, let's see how they get on then in the next 2-3 years. If the championships dry up in short order, then we'll have our answer right. Let me talk to you about this why in Formula One very quickly. As I was saying, I digress. Crofty, absolutely a God tier why. Nico Rosberg, God tier why. And of course, the inimitable, the legend that is Martin Brundle. Knowledge and entertainment in equal measure. I attribute that every time you hear me bigging up Peter Windsor, saying he's the GOAT, etc. Like, I'm not, this isn't me just gassing up Peter. Like, I believe that as far as engagement and presentation mixed equally with knowledge of the game, with wheel, they don't come much better. Those are your four, right? Crofty for entertainment, Nico for entertainment and knowledge, Brundle for the same, and Windsor for the same. There you go. Take that to the bank. I've told you. No one better in the game. Alex Jacques, everyone speaks really highly of Alex Jakes. I don't know. I don't watch Channel 4 and I don't really watch the internationally syndicated F1 TV that much, so I can't speak to that. Go on then. Karen Chanduk, up until recently, I've just put him on the foot. Like, I'm like, I don't feed him. I know he's got that mind, but everything that he had in terms of his knowledge, he lacks in terms of his personality and engagement. There, I've said it. That was me up until last weekend when Karen Chanduk, much like Carlos Sainz 2.0, turned up a different bloody man, didn't he? Full of banter, playing off Nico Rosberg. Did you see when he said to Nico Rosberg, Nico was like, what Sergio needs to do is like, cause some mayhem, push back against Max Verstappen. That's what he needs to do. What did Karan Chanduk say? Karan was like, what do you mean? Like you mean? Like you used to do, Nico? What, just be a fire starter? Incredible. He was banterous. He was playful. Like, where has that Karan Chanduk been all my life? Give that dude Let him write his own number on the contract, because that's what we need. F1 and Sky Sports, for Pete's sake. Each and every single time now, there needs to be more wise to watch, because there aren't enough. And what's going to happen, I've said it so many times now, and I will continue saying it. You'll see it's a lagging indicator. People are going to start to tail off. Every time I drop one of these videos, people are saying that they're sacking off their subscriptions. I've been watching F1 for 60 years. I'm not finding this interesting. When you are losing the die-hard fans, then F1, the broadcaster, needs to ask itself a question. What do we need to do to give these people a reason to watch? It starts with the broadcast team. Sexy setup in Sky F1 now. They've got the bloody the Monday night football Sky, I don't even know what it's called. It's not a stadium, it's a flipping production unit, isn't it? Like with the screen, and it's all sexy and whatever. Yeah, cool, but you need people and personalities to be able to carry that off, no, Sharazan. Like, it can't just be that. You can't just have a sexy screen and think that that's going to be... People aren't going to watch F1 just because you got a sexy studio. Ayrton was still breathing on arrival to Bologna Hospital. Bloody Nora, Sharazan. We're going to get into Ayrton, Sharazan. I'll leave it for another time. So I don't think that was the case, you know. I don't think that was the case. I think they wanted to pronounce him. Sid Watkins, the doctor, has recounted that they wanted to pronounce him dead at the circuit, but FIA, being so skullduggerous, realised that the rules of F1 were anytime you pronounce somebody dead at a circuit, then you have to call off the Grand Prix instantly. That's why Roland Ratzenberger nor Ayrton Senna were pronounced dead at the circuit, even though to all intents and purposes, physically, they were gone at Imola. Anyway, commentators, shouts out to Karun Chandok. I've spoken ill enough of that fella's name. If he keeps up those sort of performances, the banter with the engagement, with the knowledge as a combination, you can't go wrong with that Karun Chandok. And then you've got Nico and Crofty as well. Bloody Nora. Martin Brundle wants to be scared. I never thought that I'd say that, you know. But Martin Brundle wants to be scared when them boys are about in that form, having had their Weetabix. Holy smoke, they were really good. I enjoyed it. And here's how you know, yeah, because the Grand Prix wasn't really saying anything. It wasn't the best Grand Prix that you've ever seen at China last weekend. It was intriguing. It bubbled, but it didn't pop. But those guys in Karun, Crofty and Nico propped it up, didn't they? They were the reason why to watch. Shout out to them each and every single time. I think they might be the new meta. Can you imagine you throw Martin in there as well? Here we go. Go on, here's the new meta, and take this to the bank. And shout out to Pinks and Naomi and the rest of the gang. Simon as well in the studio, worthy of a shout out. Passing the ball to Damon and Karen. Oh, chef's kiss out here. I loved it. Incredible. There's your reason why to watch. And listen, lest we forget Murray Walker, the Genesis store. I was reminiscing earlier on today. I miss Murray. I miss Charlie. I don't want to do the old F1 thing and be the old man at the bar talking about, well, back in my day, F1 was a real man's game. And I don't want to do that. But I was reminiscing and I was thinking about some of Murray's calls. Maybe I was barking, you check your maths. Maybe I was barking at the wrong tree in the way that I was talking about commentary. Maybe it's commentary secondary always, right, to the competition on the track. But when the competition on the track isn't saying anything, that's when commentary becomes more important, right? That's when it needs to be the why to watch. And I was thinking, because sports are all similar, there's a dotted line, a thread that goes through all sporting endeavours. They are similar by definition in their very nature. So I was thinking, I was looking at the other sports and I was like, okay, so I remember Crofty's. Murray Walker has a gazillion, right? Colossally. You guys will remember that call. You guys will remember I've got to stop because I've got a lump in my throat when he called Damon Hill's 1996 World Championship victory. You guys will remember Martin Brundle said, You've hit the wrong part, Michael. 1997, Jacques Villeneuve and Michael Schumacher. And then if you parlay that to other sports, those of you basketball fans, if I say this, you'll get the feeling that you're on a basketball court instantly. Check my maths. Watch this. Bang! Basketball straight away each and every single bloody time. Because that dude, that commentator, whose name I don't even know, he's got it. He is synonymous with basketball. When somebody makes a buzzer beater and you hear that, it's almost like the buzzer beater isn't a proper buzzer beater without that chap's commentary. Bang! Pinkham was busy preparing for London Marathon. I know shows and Pink. I love a bit of Pinks. I do like Pinks a lot. She's got banter. Me giving those guys praise this weekend past isn't a knock necessarily on Pinks, because I rate Pinks really, really highly. But I say all that to say about the commentary that it's really, really, it's important, man. It's engaging. Stephen A. Smith has created a sports debate industry by himself. Again, similar to my guy Peter Windsor. You might not even tune in for the race, but you will tune in to hear Stephen A. Smith, Peter Windsor dissect it afterwards because they're so bloody engaging. NC Paddock, Ayrton might not have been breathing, but was basically brain dead. Sid looked him over until he sighed and his body relaxed. Oh, NC Paddock, you're killing me, bruv. Oh, Mike Breen. There you go, visual. Bang! It's iconic. Like, you can't even, like, to the point where you'd say basketball isn't basketball. I know he doesn't commentate all the games, but basketball, it's almost synonymous with that bang. Like, it's a white or what? Look at me smart. I don't even watch basketball, but I will go back and watch the highlights of that dude's commentary because it, like, puts hairs on the back of my neck. Like, do you know what I mean? And even if you guys watch games, like computer gaming, there's a legendary call at one of like the esports Olympics or whatever. When this dude, they're playing a fighting game. I'm getting into the weeds now. This is super techie. But they're playing a fighting game. And the dude stands up. It's like the best of three. So first to two wins. And the dude, they're 1-1. The dude who's just won an epic game. Stands up, looks at the crowd and does one of these. The old Jude Bellingham. Are you not entertained? Raises his hands like he's Pele and he's just like won the entire match. It's 1-1. So whilst he's raising his hands, the other guy starts destroying him on the Street Fighter or whatever. Absolutely kills him. Ends up 2-1. The commentary to that, it's become a moment in esports history because the commentary, not just because the moment was the moment, right, but the commentary around it was just like, just sent it viral. The soundbite, let me try and remember. What are you standing up for? You got some of you guys will know, the gamers out there. What are you standing up for? No, Washiga, not like this. Sent the thing viral. And I say all that to say, the commentary team, the broadcasters, at this point in F1, monotony, Max Verstappen dominance, etc., are more important than what's going on the track. They will give you a reason why to watch. It's got to be personality. It's got to be vibrance and exuberance. It has to be banter and conflict. If we're not getting the conflict and uncertainty on track, then why not give it us in the broadcasting studio, for Pete's sake? That's what it's got to be. That, for me, that's what it's got to be. Otherwise, more people are going to start deleting their Sky Q, sacking off, unsubscribing, deleting, cancelling their subscriptions even. People are going to start to turn off. There needs to be a why to watch F1. You need to have more of those, and it is all of those things aforementioned. But I digress. Prosecution rests. No further questions, Your Honour.